Hi everyone, Michelle Ragus McBain here with Fall Forward Live, and I am live with my dear friend Steve Farmiloe, who is amazing in so many ways. And I'm going to read his bio because I just can't do it justice without like verbating all of the things that he's accomplished. Steve's a real digital superhero in our social media channel. And if you don't know him, you might be living under a rock. He is host of the Top Gun show, which we all know and love, and is watched by, is it millions or billions of people, Steve?
Millions and millions, actually.
Billions. He is a senior channel sales manager for AppSmart, the world's largest B2B subscription commerce platform for recurring technology services built to empower technical advisors. Steve has an established career increasing sales team performance. His career spans multiple industries such as wholesale distribution, TV and film post-production, professional services, and independent insurance agency consulting that all center around increasing sales team performance. Most recently, he is focused on increasing performance for the indirect sales channel in telecommunications, managed cloud services, and the SaaS industries. He's also well known for his long-standing video podcast, The Top Gun Show, which we're going to get to billions, I feel like, after this. Billions and
Probably, with your help.
And the 300 interviews that he has already conducted so far. Steve, you're a legend. I'm so thrilled to have you today.
Well, thank you for that kind introduction. No, I'm happy to be here. You could ask me to do anything, and I would do it for you. So thanks for having me on.
Likewise, the feeling is mutual. And, this very accomplished resume for only being 25 years old. So very impressive. I'm very thrilled with your long-standing experience in just such a short time. And you've had so much depth. And my premise of this show is pretty simple. I hear a lot of great podcasts and inspirational discussions and webinars and seminars, and there's a lot of product pitching and there's a lot of concept sharing. And one of the things that I really am most inspired by is when we get to know what did you learn along the way that got you through this amazing resume, and how did you get to where you are today? So, one of the things for anyone who doesn't know what you do, could you just share a little bit about that? And then we can kick off some of our questions.
Yeah, well, as the first of all, I think this podcast is really, really important. Probably more today than it ever has been, because I think that people live in a social media world. They go on Instagram and they see the perfect father,
Mm.
playing with the kids and being patient on a 3-minute video. And that's not real life. I mean, that's that snapshot when the camera's on and being, and then your wife looks at you and go, how come you're not like that? That's just, it's not reality. So when you look at, like, my career spans over 4 decades. I started when I was 3. You're
Mm,
right. But
right.
seriously, over 4 decades, there's a lot of heartache in that, and pain and learning, and mountains to climb and valleys to get out of, and things like that. So I love the concept behind this podcast where you're really making it real, interviewing people about the journey. Because to me, the journey, the ups and downs, is more important than where you're at right now. It's how did you get there. So yeah, I'm AppSmart, senior channel sales manager. I am running the southern 7 states. I'm looking for sales partners to carry out our digital marketplace, to the technology world with SaaS and managed energy and telecom services and all that. And I don't think I've ever had as much fun in my entire life, because I think that AppSmart is riding a huge wave of subscription commerce platform. I know this guy named Jay McBain. He talks about that all the time. And I won't say our founders of AppDirect got lucky. I think they're incredibly smart. But 12 years ago, they turned around and they saw this big wave coming, and they thought, man, if we can just ride this wave.
Right.
And now we're $2.6 billion in annual revenue. So, hats off to them for seeing the wave 12 years ago. And I'm lucky to be with such a great organization.
Absolutely, and they're lucky to have you. That's incredible, and that's sort of the future predictions, right? I mean, as we go through, you seeing every company moving to a SaaS subscription model. It's sort of the way of the future, and as I go through this process, I really wanted to kind of ask you a question. A lot of people say, "Did you know that you always wanted to be in this arena, in the tech space?" And I'm going to ask you to look back to 21-year-old Steve and tell me what you would have told him as he approaches his start into the world.
Well, 21-year-old Steve is still who I am today. It's just that I've got a lot of other experiences linked in there. But I think the 21-year-old Steve was a little bit out of balance. I would say at 21, I was a lot smarter, or at least I thought I was at the age of 21 than I know I am now. Yeah, I have more experiences, but the 21-year-old self what probably did not have a good life balance. I remember I spent the first 18 years of my career building a wholesale distribution company. It was a family business, started in 1957 by my dad and my grandfather, and I idolized my father. So I jumped into it right after college. And I mean, I was there 7 days a week. I mean, I was there all the time, weekends, and sometimes till 2 or 3 in the morning, and putting together business plans. And I grew it. I grew it by tenfold in the
Mhm.
18 years that I was there. Ended up buying it, and then I sold it towards the end of that 18 years to Unisource Worldwide, which was at the time a $7 billion wholesale distribution company. I ended
Wow.
up running the West. But the weird thing about it was, like, that was my whole life for 18 years. Like, I created so many programs and things, and grew it and grew it and grew it. And my whole world was consumed with building that organization. And after I sold it to Unisource Worldwide, within a few years, all the business and the customers, they changed policies, they raised minimums, they basically blew it up. I mean, nothing against them, but this thing that I had spent 2 decades, almost 2 decades building, was pretty much gone. And I realized, wow. I mean, yeah, I want to work hard and stuff like that, but I became so consumed with it that it comes and it goes. Career path comes and goes, and companies come and go, and they're bought and they're sold, and they change direction. And I just think I would tell the 21-year-old, keep a life balance, dude. Don't be all consumed with this one thing.
I love that so much. And I had a very similar like call to conscience. I don't know if you know, so I had heart surgery 3 years ago, and I've always been a
Oh wow.
workaholic. Yeah. And I'm fairly young, but it's something I knew I was always going to have. And you just have all these like on the on the precipice of a global pandemic. I like to keep my years interesting, but
Yeah.
as they wheeled me into the operating room, everything that I had thought about prior to that moment just kind of fell out of my head. And what I cared about most in that moment was my family, my children, my husband, the life that I wanted to lead when I woke up, hopefully, and I did. And so all of that, like, I think it is so important that you had that realization, because careers are so important, but your legacy and your life and the one of the things Jay says, which is a quote that he heard once, which I really resonate with what he says, is the meaning of life is the impact you have on others. And I truly feel that careers are the relationships that you forge, right? You had this
Right.
relationships with your customers, and it's more than just a successful business. It's the rapport and the relationships and the engagement and the customer success that really does matter in those business engagements. And whether you lift or shift or go to a new business or company, you remain or retain those relationships throughout the journey of your career. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Um, I I'm the sum of all those relationships at this stage of my career. I mean, I feel richly blessed by the relationships that I've had, and I've been in 5 different industries. So I've been in telecom now for about 12. I was in insurance industry for about 12 years or so, and I've done stints in other industries, TV and film post-production school. I ran that. I did a professional services company. I turned that around. It's kind of like a Tony Robbins kind of a company. I
Wow.
ran a national carpet manufacturing company, which was really, really fun. I traveled a lot for that. So like I have friends in all those industries, it's really amazing. I got to pick up pieces of wisdom from all those relationships as well.
I love that. And that could kind of carry me into my next question. So, mentorship is very important. And it sounds like you've made a few mentors along the way. Who were your life's greatest three mentors and what did they teach you?
That's a really good question. I would say, the generic answer that I have is that everybody I've learned from everybody. I really like everybody that I know is my mentor in a way because I get to learn like my relationship with you. I get to learn from you. I get to look at your posts. I get to read what you post. I get to read what Jay posts or Janet Shines or these other people. But and you guys are all my idols. But I would say if I had to boil it down to three, I would first of all say my father. He taught me work ethic. He was very old school. You know, he taught me you be the first one on the field and the last one off the field, or office, right? Be the first one in there and the last one off. And it's just as easy to be 5 minutes early than it is 5 minutes late. Don't ever be late. I mean, the other thing he told me that I always made fun of him, and now it's like this is who I am. He always said, "Steve, don't buy a couch unless you have the cash to pay for it." And it's like, man, I wish I would have listened to him like way back then.
All the kind of
So
debt you could have avoided.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
So he would be number one. I would also say Larry Linney, who is the CEO of Insight Performance Group. It's a membership only organization of leading independent insurance agencies in North America. I worked for them for 3 years. I was an advisor for them. He was also a wide receiver in the NFL for the New England Patriots. He caught Doug Flutie's first touchdown pass. But Larry is the most inspiring business professional that I've ever met. I don't think there's anybody I've ever seen, and I saw him behind the curtain. I don't think anybody's ever works harder or is more prepared or committed to excellence than he is. And he holds himself to the highest standards. So he taught me a tremendous amount about preparation and doing your homework and that kind of a thing. I would say the third would be my high school football coach, Hank Stiefel. Like nobody knows who he is, but he was my high school football coach. And at the time, I was a baseball player and I wanted to play football because I thought it was cool, but I was light. I was probably like 150 pounds and, I didn't want to get hurt. So I was a punter because I felt like, okay, I want to play football. I want to walk around campus with a jersey on, but like if somebody touches me, I want them to be a penalty flag. Like I don't want to get hurt. So I decided to punt. Fourth down is when you punt the ball, right? So I just got some footballs and started teaching myself how to punt. And this coach, Hank Stiefel, really got supportive of me. And he went to the library, this is before Google and all that. He went to the library to scan articles and magazines, on how to punt or whatever. And he'd bring them to me. And I'd read them and I would try to learn how to punt. And I did the 10,000 hour thing on doing that. I ended up going to the junior college in town. We won the state championship, state of California championship. I actually got to work out with Ray Guy, who's an Oakland Raiders Hall of Fame punter.
wow.
Worked out with him a few times. And then eventually I got a tryout at Denver. What's that?
Did you teach him how to punt?
No, he taught me. He taught me, but I got a tryout with the Denver Broncos. So I was actually ranked, I think, fourth in the country at JC level as a punter. I mean, but so anyway, my point was because Hank Stiefel took an interest in me, just some kid in high school that decided to go all out and learn a skill. He taught me a lot on how to give to somebody who wants to be given to.
I love that. I love those stories and those life lessons. And so now, each of And that's why I say, some people say, oh, how should I answer this question professionally or personally? I don't think there's a division. I think you are who you are, and the worlds kind of meld, and the lessons people teach you kind of run into those other worlds depending on, who you are. And you mentioned social, and I have that same feeling on social. Like, people will say, well, I'm very professional on social, but I'm a lot of fun in person. I'm like, well, why are you not yourself? Why do
Yeah.
you translate who you are, and just
True. I am as goofy and childlike in real life as I am on social media. I mean, you've seen some of my posts, dancing on top of a mountain, and I just have fun.
I love it. Life's too short. We all should, right? So I
Yeah.
agree with that. So looking back, you've had a lot of successes. What was your biggest failure and what did it teach you?
Well, that's a good question as well. I would say there's two failures that I cherish in my life. On a business front, I started a video production company. I ran a post production school in LA, and I fell in love with video. I fell in love with video messaging, and I think that's a large part of why the Top Gun show is a passion of mine. It's like I love people's stories. I
Me
love them. I'm a storyteller myself. I'm inquisitive. I want to know more about you. I want to know your path. All that stuff. So because I ran this school and turned it around in LA, I decided to start a video production company. And I called on businesses just by myself. I had a production crew in Northern California and one in Southern California. The Southern California one, the guy that was running that was the executive producer of The Tonight Show with Jay Leno. So it
Wow.
was high end stuff, right? My problem was I wasn't making money.
Mm.
And that's what taught me about cash flow. I mean, you could be profitable and go out of business because your cash doesn't, it's your oxygen to your business. So that was kind of a practical lesson that I learned. And I ran it for 3 years or 4 years, and I finally had to close it down because of cash flow reasons.
Unfortunately.
The other one that was a life lesson, and I think you might know this, is that my wife and I lost our home in 2017 in the Northern California fires. It was the first big fires that came through NorCal, and it burned our entire neighborhood. It was 5,500 homes went up
Horrible.
in flames on my wife's birthday on the
Oh,
at one
I'm
o'clock in the morning. Yeah. And, we woke up in the morning, some lady was screaming and, honking, get out of your house. There's a fire behind it. And we came out, we saw the fire, and we jumped in the car, got the dog out, and we lost everything. We didn't have any insurance because we were renting. And
oh
my
my.
point in telling you that story is the day before, I was on my hands and knees in the driveway, cleaning the grout, the creases in the driveway, the weeds and stuff with a screwdriver. I was meticulously doing that. Like that was really important to me, and doing hedging and trimming, not that you should let your yard go to crap, but relationships are a lot more important than me getting those weeds out in the crevices, right? Because it all went up in smoke the next day anyway.
Wow. This is
So
never
that
weed again.
yeah, that was a life lesson. That's been probably one of the biggest life lessons I've ever had. My wife as well, is that it just kind of put things in perspective.
Absolutely. Wow. I'm glad you were okay, but what a horrible experience to lose everything. Everything. I just couldn't even imagine. And one of the things that people ask that question: if there was a fire, what would you take? What would you have taken out of your house if you could have gone back beforehand?
My mom's paintings that she painted. She was a really, really fantastic artist, and I had the house filled with, one of a kind art that she painted. Some of which, she painted for me. Something that was special to me, Sonoma County landscaping and things like that. And when we left that night, it didn't even cross my mind, like, hey, I'm going to lose everything. I,
Right.
I, I mean, we just woke up. We had wine before. It was my wife's birthday, and went to bed 2 hours before. Got woken up abruptly, and you don't have time to think, you
Right.
know. So, that's what I would have taken. I would have probably also taken things that my kids made when they were little. The little trinkets and clay pots and things like that they made. I still have them all in my mind, but I
Yes.
don't have them, in reality. My great grandmother's 150-year-old Bible that she had written, her little comments in and stuff like that. So those types of things, obviously are the most important things that, I wish I could have grabbed.
No, I know. I'll share with you. I have on my desk these little like pictures my daughter makes me from time to time, and that's
Yeah.
the stuff. It's so silly. It's so but it's just the emotional
Yeah.
attachment we give
And
things.
and I would say scan everything that you can scan,
This is our yes,
save it
like
in the cloud.
yes,
Yeah.
that Jay jokes that I have an extra wing in the terabyte drive of Google for all my storage.
Love it.
A
Love
lot of
it.
those. And I do try to put them on a hard drive and I try to put them in the cloud. I've heard this story, unfortunately, before. June Gable on our team also lost everything in a fire. So it's something you think about. You don't even think about it could happen to you, but you never know. So
Right.
I'm sorry that happened, but I'm glad you're all safe and healthy and here with us. So that's most important. Um, you have a podcast. I have a podcast. We like resources to listen and learn and be inspired by those things. What are your favorite books or podcasts or activities that you do to be inspired or to be reconnected or learn or educated on different topics?
Well, I love LinkedIn. I'm kind of a LinkedIn whore in an affectionate way. I mean, I love it because I get really fresh, meaningful content. I mean, you and Jay both post the most incredible things on there, and it always teaches me. It always feeds me. It always makes my mind go in new places and try to get out out in front of everyone else and where the industry is going and how I can be more beneficial to my sales partners at AppSmart and their customers and things like that. I mean, as far as books are concerned, I'd say recently, probably my favorite three books recently that I've read in the last couple of years would be Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. And that's subtitled Negotiate as if your life depends on it. He's a former FBI a negotiation expert for kidnappings and those kind of things,
Wow.
and that was really fascinating. And I would suggest if you're going to get that, get it on Audible because it's his voice as he's telling stories and stuff. It's incredible. So never split the difference. I think everyone's read the 10x rule by Grant Cardone, and although Grant Cardone's a little bit out there
Mhm.
on personality wise, he makes some really great points in the 10x rule. So we don't look at things just kind of what's safe and easy, but really, stretching out and going for the gusto. You only go through life once, so big, hairy, audacious goals, kind of a thing.
I
And
love it.
then maybe the most important book that I've read is Financial Peace by Dave Ramsey, and it's a
Mm.
Christian book, and it talks about living within your means and living differently than other people live and getting out of debt and saving money and investing money and being a proper steward of what we've earned. And again, that kind of goes back to my dad's comment about, Steve, don't buy a couch unless you have the cash to pay for it.
Yes.
There's some really good practical advice in that book.
I love that. I love that concept also. So when I went to school, and you probably don't know this about me, but I didn't know what I wanted to study. So I studied global business and marketing, and then I studied peace studies. And people say, "What did that mean?" And I said, "I just thought it means I was going to make a lot of money and give it all away." So that was my like
That's
that
great.
steward of your finances and income, and also what my MBA program is. This is a small private school in New York called Manhattan College, but they emphasize everything that you do. So if you take an economics class, they also want you to say, well, how can you be profitable, but how can you help the community, or how can you help the business succeed in a way that gives back to the area? So it's very very philanthropic threads tied into successful business metrics. And I like the concept of that, like the Christian pay it forward type of ideals.
Yeah.
Really do resonate with me personally. And I always tell people, when I say people buy from people they like, I don't just mean that you have similar football teams or you have some, but maybe you have core values that connect to you in a way that allow you. So fill out your volunteer section on LinkedIn and let me know what you're about outside of just what you can sell me. So I know
Right.
who you are, like your rounded person of who you are.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. So now a lot of people have misconceptions about technology, about your space to begin with. What would you say to debunk anybody who doesn't understand what you're doing and the SaaS models and everything that you stand for as a company today?
Well, I don't know if this is industry specific, but I'd say the first myth that I come across in our industry is how easy it is. I mean, there's people that are making, $200,000 a month, as a sales partner. They've got a lot of customers, they've got a big book of business. They just get to sit back and cash checks that come in the mail. And a lot of people look at this industry and go, "Wow, those guys like make a lot of money." They got this recurring book of business and all that, and they think they can do it too. But um, Mike Ketchum, who's the VP of Finance at Intellisys, I was working on a business plan once with him to buy an agency, and we were looking at forecasts and cash flows and all this. If I bought this one agency, what I could reasonably expect. And he said something to me. He said, "Steve, don't forget, this is a get rich slow industry." He
Mm.
says, "All these people that are making all this money, I mean, it took them the first 3 years they didn't eat. They ate hot ramen or whatever. And I think that's the other thing is that people will look at this industry and they want to come into it and they think, "Oh, I know people. I know people that can buy telecom, and this is going to be pretty easy." Well, it's not easy. It's
No,
a lot of work, and it's hard work.
I love it. But you make it look easy. So kudos to you. Impressive. Now, here's a topic very passionate to me is women and diversity in technology in business as a whole. You've allowed me the opportunity to speak on your platform about this topic. You also seem to be passionate about this topic. Why are you passionate or an advocate or an ally for having equality or diversity or inclusivity in business or in technology?
That's a great question. I don't think I don't set out going, okay, I want inclusivity. I want to expand diversity. That's not my primary goal. My primary goal is I love people. I
Hmm.
love people who give me energy. I love people who are passionate. I love people who are smart. I love people who are cutting edge and feed me new content and challenge me. I love meeting any person that I want to be like when I grow up, right? And there's a lot of great women in this industry. I mean, from you obviously you're one of the top leaders, Janet Shines and Melee Langley and Jasmina Miller, Kathy Mazza, Meredith Karam, Julie Dzube at AppSmart. I mean, I hesitate naming names because I'm going to leave somebody out. But
Amazing.
these are all women that I look up to and I admire, and they feed me and they give me content and they make me better. So gender aside, I think they're incredible. And I think one of the reasons why there's so many incredible women in this industry is because it's still a male dominated industry. And for these women and other women that I haven't named to rise to the top of this industry like you guys have had a steeper climb. It's unfortunate, but you've had to climb steeper and harder than some of the male counterparts. But because of that, you're better. You're more experienced. You have more passion. You have more fire. So my answer to that question is I think some of the women in this industry, I really strongly and genuinely look up to them as human beings, as colleagues, because they challenge me and they teach me so much. So I'd like to say that I woke up in the morning thinking I'm an I want to build women in the industry. Well, I just like good people. I like strong people. It just so happens majority of the people that I love in this industry and I look up to are women.
I love that. I love that answer. And I think it's so powerful just to have diversity of thought, right? Like just bringing all sorts of people and experiences together. Because, like you, I soak up and learn from everybody I speak to, everybody that I've encountered. I like to say I'm greedy with my mentors because everybody can teach me something at any age or
Right.
stage in my career. And there was a recent study in 2019 by Sheryl Sandberg started a company called leanin.org, and they said that 65% of men felt uncomfortable mentoring women. And if men are typically in the positions of leadership, that causes a chasm and a lack of opportunity to attract or retain or promote the right talent. And that talent may be women. And so it is really something for any man that has experience like you. I highly recommend that you continue to reciprocate and mentor and advise and guide, because I think that there's so much opportunity there that I don't want that to be the deficit in what happens. You know, we've seen a McKinsey report it, a quarter of women dropped out during the pandemic. It was a hard 15 months,
Wow.
especially for those of us with young children who had to take on many roles. But we need to stop that plug, and we need great people like you to help encourage and promote that topic. So thank you for doing that.
Amen. Thank you.
Likewise. So obviously, piggybacking on the COVID idea, it's been a weird time for many people. I know you're in Arizona, no, Texas, sorry, in Austin, and I am in Florida. Weird, also. We're all in different places depending on, politics and people and comfort and high risk and vulnerabilities and all these things. So I've been very slow to travel. I'm luckily vaccinated, and now I took my first, I'll call it a family vacation to Legoland, actually stayed in a hotel for the first time in 15 months. And Jay and I are very active travelers. So it was very odd to go from traveling all the time to not traveling at all. How about you? Are you traveling? Have you been traveling? Where's the place you want to go next?
Well, this weekend, or actually next week, I'm taking a long, my wife and I are taking a long, like a 4-day weekend. We're going to go to New Orleans
Oh, fun.
because we haven't been there and it's kind of close. You know, it's a short plane ride for us. So we're going to go there on a personal note. That's going to be fun.
You've never
I've
been to New Orleans? New Orleans.
No, well, I did like 25 or 30 years ago. I went there on a business trip at a convention, and I don't really remember much of it. So my wife and I are going to go there. We've got a wedding. My daughter's getting married in August
Oh,
in San.
congratulations.
Thank you, in August in San Diego. So we're going to go there. But I really, on a work note, I want channel partners in Las Vegas to take place in November. We all have to sign up and fill up rooms and get there because we need to see each other, man. This industry, it's a small industry, but we all love each other. And so that's my big thing is like I really want Las Vegas to come off.
Absolutely. And I'm a hugger, so just you get ready, Steve.
Great.
And I'm thrilled my husband Jay won Channel Influencer of the Year. So that's something you can't accept via Zoom. I want to be there to help cheer him on as well. So
Absolutely.
hopefully we can make it happen, and we can get there as a country, and we all get there safely. So I look forward to that and seeing everybody we haven't seen. If somebody wanted to get a hold of you, how can they find you?
They can't. You know, there's
You're hidden.
the creditors have been looking. I LinkedIn's one way. I've been maxed out for maybe a year and a half at 30,000 connections. So
Right. Tapped out.
I now
Do you
it
ever
just says
cut anyone?
follow. Huh?
You ever cut anyone? You're like, meh, delete.
Well, I have. I
Yeah.
have. I've cut people like I've gone in and searched for my connections, the B2B lead generation services, those people that when you accept them, you get a foot and a half message they're trying to sell you, their lead services. So
But they're
I'll
sliced bread. So there's
yeah, I'll bump them out to make room for people in the industry and stuff like that occasionally. But LinkedIn's a way to reach me. Also, steve.farmiloe@appsmart.com, is my email address, and that's another way to reach out. But I mean, just Google me. My cell phone number is in there. Everything I've ever done is in there. It's not hard to find me.
awesome. Okay, that's great. And I have a final buzz round question for you. If you could switch roles with me and ask yourself one question that I missed, what would you ask yourself?
That's great. You've asked me some really good questions, and it doesn't surprise me because you're really good.
I learned from.
So I would say an interesting question would be, what was your first job and what did you learn from it? Okay.
Okay.
That would probably be a question that I would ask guests of this show because it kind of starts there. That's kind of foundational, the work ethic.
I might incorporate that. I'm stealing it. Copyright, Steve.
Go ahead.
So what was it? What was your first job?
Well, besides my paper route, because I was one of those guys that had a Schwinn, 3 speed or whatever the heck it was, my yellow Schwinn that I had a paper route at 4:30 in the morning. I was a busboy in high school, my junior year in high school, and my senior year. So I would go to school. I would then play sports. I played, baseball and football. I would go home and do my homework in the afternoon, eat dinner, and then I was a busboy in an Italian family style restaurant. And I did that for 2 years. And I remember my paycheck. I worked for $2.85 an hour. It was a minimum wage at the time. But I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was, I got a paycheck and my name was on it. And there was an amount there, and I put it in my savings account. And it really taught me a tremendous amount. The main thing it taught me was I would never go into the restaurant business. It's so much work. And
It's a lot of long hours, late
yeah.
days, long hours. It's true. So for me, if I was going to answer that question, my first job, my family immigrated here. So they all own businesses. I'm the first to go to college. I'm the first to work in tech, which is why I'm so passionate about helping people know there's a place for them. But my Aunt Lorraine and my Uncle Santino, I know, no jokes.
I love it.
They both own hair salons, so I would go between their hair salons, and I was shampoo girl, and I would sweep up all the hair when they would cut their hair. So that was my first uh, basic job. And then after that, I had a single mom, and every time I wanted to get like free meals because I was like, this is great, I'd find restaurants I like to eat at, and I'd get a waitressing job. So I waitressed for 7 years through high school and college. And that teaches you a lot of humility and customer experience and relationship skills because everybody is different. Everybody you talk to has unique needs, and you have to make everybody happy at a table, and they may not have the same preferences, right? So just like
Right.
in a company, you have to please different people with different mindsets and influence them to buy the steak because it gives you the biggest tip, right? So
Right. Great story. I love it. I love it.
thank you, Steve. Steve, it's been an absolute pleasure having you as a guest of Fail Forward Live. Thank you for your time and inspiring us all. Everybody reach out to Steve and his team. They're amazing. And make sure you watch the Top Gun show. You will not be disappointed.
Thank you, Michelle. It's a pleasure to be on. I really was looking forward to this, and I feel like we're just sitting at a table chatting. So this has been fun.
I love it. I love it. And I look forward to seeing you hopefully Vegas in is it November for Channel
It's
Partner?
November, and you have committed to give me a hug, so I'm going to look forward to that.
I'm all in. I'm ready to get there. Have a great week, everyone, and continue to live and learn. Take care.